Hello and welcome to the March Summit School District Spotlight. I'm Kirsten Anderson. I'm the Director of Communications for Summit School District, and today I'm here with our board president, Consuelo Redhorse, and our board member, Chris Guarino. Hi, thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank
thanks
you
for having us.
We are going to talk about the work that the school district has been doing around the master plan, the facilities master plan, and an extension of the 2016 bond work that we did at the time, and the community meetings that we've been having to get input to see when we bring it to the board whether it's appropriate to bring a bond question forward in the fall. So excited to get your input on that. But before we get going on that, I saw you both last night at the board meeting, and now today again in the studio. So thanks again for all of your passion and time that you give us here to the school district. We're really lucky to have you guys. But I wanted to spend some time talking about the spotlights that we saw last night with Upper Blue Elementary and Snowy Peaks coming in to talk to us.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I would love to say that having the spotlights is, I think, probably my favorite part of the board meetings that we have. And generally, just for the public, we generally have those on our second board meeting of the month. But it was really cool being able to hear about the great things and have students come in from two schools, as well as recognize some staff for the amazing work that they're doing. So as you mentioned, we had Upper Blue Elementary and Snowy Peaks. So I know that Chris actually just got back from an adopted school visit from Upper Blue. So I'll cover a little bit about Snowy Peaks. It was just really great. We had, I want to say maybe 5 students attend last night, and we it was just so great having student voice and having kids and their families come into the boardroom and share really what makes our school is so special. We do a lot of business in there, and we talk a lot of education talk and jargon and make big decisions, but to see how it's affecting our kids is amazing. So from the Snowy Peaks kids, we heard a lot about the importance of their staff and their classmates in their learning experiences and sense of belonging. And just that great appreciation. And then we got to see a couple of kids from the middle school team who went down recently to CSU Spur, which is down in Denver. And they participated in a regional contest for KidWin. So they brought in some wind turbines. They took, at Snowy Peaks, they had 3 teams, and they took first, second, and third place. And 2 of the groups of first and second place were invited to attend the national championship or competition later, I think, this year or next year. So yeah, some super exciting stuff.
Yeah, go Yetis. It was wonderful to hear
amazing.
about that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, only one team was supposed to go to nationals, but first and second were only split by a half a point.
Yeah.
So they invited both teams. So yeah, that was really exciting. And as Consuelo mentioned, I just got back from my adopted school visit at Upper Blue Elementary, where I was welcomed by Principal Robin Sutherland. I love Upper Blue. It was so nice to take a walk, and we walked through classrooms full of engaged students and teachers, and got a few hugs, had a few really sweet conversations. It was wonderful. And I enjoyed speaking with Robin. Last night we spotlighted Upper Blue, the superintendent, Dr. Bird, did, and it was amazing to hear some things. One thing I love about our leadership in the district is we're straightforward and lean into it, and Robin came in and said, hey, look, we noticed some decline scores in our performance framework as a school, and it was, consistently needed to be addressed, and here's what we did. Yeah. And she actually had this great video, and she told this wonderful story of, the staff rallying together, and they created something called PI time. I have to remind myself, it's practice, intervention, and extension. Yeah. And they revamped how they approach their day. The collaboration and the efforts that are taking place is just so powerful. So major shout out to the team there, Robin and every staff member at Upper Blue. They were able to bring their school performance framework within a year from 43% up to a solid 72%, which
huge gains.
It's amazing.
Seems unbelievable to me. I celebrated Robin in a major way today. So everybody, shout out Upper Blue when you see them.
Yeah, it's so cool. I think what was really interesting is this time Robin came in and talked a lot about systems and
Yes.
how they collaborate to reach every kid and really make impacts on student learning, whereas last time they talked a lot about the social and emotional focus that they have at Upper Blue and how kids resolve conflict, and that was the focus. And then last night, Snowy Peaks had student voice, and those students coming in and talking about how the support that they get has made a huge impact on their lives, and just how meaningful that connection is for them. Where last time Jim was talking about, hey, here's our accountability, here's what we do to make sure our grades are, and really talked about those systems. So it was a complete kind of flip-flop from them, and really neat, and shows just how much our schools do to address the whole kid, right?
Right,
It's
and
so
it's great. Yeah, they just, the social emotional learning and the academic success and achievement and growth really work together. They work together. And I think we also, when we look at the individual needs of every child, that's where we're looking at equity in education. So providing what every single child needs within that pie, at different schools it may be called WIN, it may just be called interventions and extensions, which is not as exciting of a name, but all of those things that our kids need on an individual basis to make sure that they can succeed academically and in their personal lives as well. So super exciting.
Very cool. Okay, so moving to the facilities master plan and the community input. So far, we've had the February 28th meeting that was open to the community and was held at the middle school. And then we followed that up with a similar presentation at the board meeting. So if you two could talk to our audience about who was in the audience, what was shared, and kind of general thoughts and feelings about where we're at.
Absolutely. So I was able to attend the community conversation on the 28th. I thought it was a really great turnout. We're over at the Commons area in the middle school, and there were just so many community members. I think one thing that surprised me in terms of attendance is that there were actually a pretty fair number of members that didn't have a direct connection to the school, which we're a pretty small community, and the school district is such a hub, with so many families, and we're one of the largest employers in Summit County. So to have that that group there was really interesting. I thought it was really great. I could see the level of work that's been put into it by the staff members, the facilities committee, and the people that on the facilities committee that are not, not staff members as well. So I think we had a really great, group. Lots of information presented, and it was kind of in different buckets, and that's kind of the way that our board activity was as well, but it was buckets of safe and high quality learning environments. So we talked a lot about Breck L as our oldest school building, Snowy Peaks, which for the people that don't know, Snowy Peaks is in a former wing of the middle school, and they actually their PE area is along hallway. So seeing kids do things in there is really interesting, as well as the safety factor. So making sure we've got physical safety to make sure that we've got the infrastructure that can support our one-to-one world and the changing learning environment. And then we had pathways, so a lot of exciting work there. So for people that don't know what pathways are, it's all the ways that, again, we support every single child as they start their post-secondary work and are working throughout the high school level to say, where do they really want to dig in? How can we how can we help our students see that success? So some pathways work as well as some strong community stuff. So making sure that our staff housing is set up and that, the possibility of having a student success center. So how we can continue to support students and families as they come into the education system. So that was, I thought it was really great. It was a great kickoff. And Chris, what would you like to share? You're actually a lot more into the facilities part of it. So
No, it was wonderful hearing about the meeting. I wasn't able to attend. but it's tremendous to have community voice. And you know, this is my day job. You know, when I'm not spending time with our school board, I do project management. So I work with a lot of communities to go through similar processes like this. And I am not involved in this one as a professional, but as a board member observing the process, I'd like to say Summit School District's really nailing it. I'm really grateful for the, you know, not just the public-facing voice, but behind closed doors, the conversations we're hearing with a, you know, a demand for community voice and an expectation for community voice. And, you know, they're just starting the process. There's going to be a couple of months here of this outreach and trying to get to as many stakeholder groups as possible, which I really appreciate. And, you know, there's what's floating right now are their dreams, you know, and there's a pretty big list out there and causes some concern for some folks, but that's not the final, you know, list. If in fact the board decides to ask a question here in August, it'll be, you know, something that is focused on immediate needs, safety and security, and critical, you know, anything critical to our facility. So we're floating everything to see how the community responds, and then we'll get the direct feedback for what's really the most urgent needs and how do we best serve the community. So I think it's an awesome process. And then the underlying point, which is really phenomenal, is everything we're hearing is they tie it back to how does this impact student success.
Yeah.
So teacher housing, what does it mean for student success? Expansion on a school, what does that mean for student success? It's a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I think you guys really nailed that on the head. It was interesting to look at the attendees who were there who don't have directly a kid in the school district, and I think what that audience cares a lot about is the importance of public education to our futures, to our community's future, and having strong communities. And they want to make sure that we're spending our tax dollars responsibly. And I know that's a major consideration of the board and for us as staff. And, you know, I think what's interesting is, Consuelo, maybe you can share a little bit of the background of our AAA rating and how we've paid off bonds to sort of make considering going back out to the community a possibility at this time.
Absolutely. So we had a bond issue, I believe, in 2004, and we are actually, so we do have a AAA bond rating. So, you know, I'm not super well versed in it, but I know that we are one, I believe, of only 2 school districts in Colorado that has a AAA bond rating. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to really take advantage of better interest rates. You know, it makes us really favorable, I would say, in the financial world with along that lines. And so what we're able to do is we're able to take advantage of really low interest rates. And so with that AAA bond rating, we're able to refinance existing bonds, and we actually saved Summit taxpayers over $600,000 in interest expense. So that's one great part. So as I mentioned, we'll be making a final payment on our bond issue from 2004 this December. And so this payoff will actually result in a reduction I guess an upcoming drop in bond payments. So this is a really good time, kind of things are dropping off, and we see a lot of new needs. You know, times are changing. You know, education is, you know, always going to be important, and so we're trying to meet that challenge right now, and it's just it's a good time for it. Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just going to walk us through those 3 areas and talk through a little bit about like what we're seeing as opportunities out there. Like, what are the options that we're kind of looking at and bringing to the community that you guys will eventually move forward with like more concrete plans on. So I think the first one, when we talk about safe and high quality learning environments, of course, that's improving school safety. We did a lot of that in 2016. And actually, we did a lot of work to all of our schools. So we were able to share a Facilities Quality Conditions Index, or FCI. I'm learning a lot of acronyms too. And what we saw was those were in the red prior to 2016, and now they're in the green at 2024. But for Breckenridge Elementary, right?
Correct.
And there's also some structural considerations at Breckenridge Elementary that we need to think about. So because of the timing, we could either look at, so there's kind of a couple options, and do you want to talk about them, Chris?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, with regards to Breckenridge Elementary, there's no, imminent safety concerns or anything like that, but it is an aging building. So the committee, the facilities committee, is exploring with the community the options of what to do with that facility in the future. And options will be discussed anywhere from renovations and upgrades to addition to a full replacement.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely on the table. And again, the goal is to choose the most fiscally responsible solution that serves the best outcome for our students. So that's what's being analyzed right now, and I think that's a really healthy conversation there.
Yeah, and I think, we hear a lot about the roof at Breck-El. So what happens now is, while it's not to our code currently,
Right.
we manage to that by shoveling, right? And
Right.
and being very mindful and watchful of that during snow cycles, and there's associated costs with that, right? That we bake into our budget.
Yes.
So that is something that we could maintain and extend the life of that facility. Just when people talk about this in community meetings, they float the idea of like, oh, could we combine Breck-El and Upper Blue Elementary? And, that is an interesting concept. And it also, we need to weigh that against other values we have, like small classroom sizes, community schools that are part of our guiding values, and then impacts to like the road there, if at the location that we would have it, or and other things we just haven't, like you don't necessarily consider until you're like living in that environment day to day, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
those are kind of areas of question and areas where we're actively seeking community feedback at. And there's also a very, as we saw from that February 28th meeting, very dedicated and passionate group of families who have either been through that school or are about to have kids in that school, who really love and value the experience that we're able to bring in
Absolutely.
a smaller community school.
Yep, absolutely. It's an emotionally charged conversation, no doubt, and how could it not be, But the district's not making any decisions in a bubble, and that's even more of the reason for this community outreach. But as far as, that big picture conversation, I don't think any of that's imminent or anything that immediate parents would even see hit their radar. So, yeah.
And then when we talk about Snowy Peaks, it's hard not to talk about Snowy Peaks without also talking about pathways and future ready. Like, really our focus is on getting kids prepared to enter the workforce upon graduation and be personally and academically successful, right? So we really think we're have an opportunity to create a facility that Snowy Peaks could be part of, to provide this hands-on learning experience for kids. So I know Consuelo, staff and board members have been doing lots of site tours of various places. Maybe talk a little bit about what you've seen and what that vision might look like in relation to the pathways.
Absolutely. So I got to go on a field trip. It was really great. So from the board members, it was Lisa Webster and I who went down to Littleton and joined staff down there. Really snowy day, so it was good that we all made it there and back safely. But what was really cool was it was called the Epic Center, and it's right across the street from one of the high schools. So it was its own individual building, its own campus. It had its own culture. And I think what was really exciting when we visited was just hearing mostly from the adults, the kids. It was kind of a low-key time where kids weren't actually in the classes very much because they like to show off their facility because it's great. But really, hearing about the sense of agency, that kids love the choice. They love being independent. I think especially as our students become about teenager age, they're ready to go out and experience the world. So this gave kids the opportunity to do like job-based learning. They're earning industry certifications. They're doing concurrent enrollment. And one of the things is I thought was really exciting was that in lots of their classes, they're still meeting standards, and so they're really learning in a way that shows like why things are relevant. Sometimes you may have your kid come home and be like, when am I ever going to use this math? Well, in this situation, they are actually seeing how they're using it, and they're meeting standards that they would be normally taking other classes for. And what was exciting about this was it wasn't a replacement either. It wasn't a replacement of what's already offered in their high school. So they can start taking, business classes. They can start taking, all sorts of, maybe natural resources, things that we consider CTE here. And they still have the opportunity to have that in their high schools, and this just offers an additional way for students to engage in it, and they're not tracked, they don't have to stay in there, and I think the other thing, and I actually wrote it down because they showed us the rubric, but it's those transferable skills. So whether they're going into healthcare or construction, or in their case I think it was like aerospace manufacturing, any of that, the transferable skills that they really focus on were collaboration, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, and professionalism. So they're getting all those skills that regardless of what industry you're going into, or whatever you're doing, that kids need in life and then to flourish in the future, they're getting that now in a relevant way. So it was really exciting. It was great to go down there and just see, what is possible. And it was just a really great experience, yeah. And it had huge community support. So they got their the work of the actual building, I would say, as well as the staffing, were bond issues. And so either I'm going to say bond issues or mill levy overrides to be able to support that. And it was something that really brought their community together. People that are, have far tangents to the public education system, or people that are ingrained in it every day. So it was a really neat experience to go down there. Yeah.
And a lot of community kids and local businesses coming together.
Absolutely.
You talk also about attendance and discipline issues at those locations.
That's really easy. They said they really didn't have any. Yeah, because kids want to be there. Kids are excited to be there. They're just, we were surprised when we asked the question. It was like, no, they don't have to worry about discipline there. Yeah. It was amazing.
And and then I think when we bring that back to the opportunity we have here in Summit School District, many of our viewers might not know that we're sitting in a studio here at the high school that our high school kids have access to. That Summit High School has been working for 2 decades, right, to bring extended learning, CTE, hospitality. We have an award-winning hospitality team here going to the state championships coming up here. Lots of hands-on, cool learning experience where, to your point, Consuelo, they're learning deep reading and math and those critical skills, and they're not even realizing it, right? Yeah. So there's an opportunity to extend that here, and then we talked about Snowy Peaks where they're rebuilding boats or making working on cars, and you're dragging a boat through the small hallway. So how do we provide access for those students that are doing that to get that type of opportunity here in Summit County?
We talk a lot about the whole child and meeting students where they are, and the idea of this pathways concept is just so powerful. Offering or enlightening pathways to what you want to learn and a potential track towards the career path that is interesting to you. Again, in my day job, I'm seeing this all across the state, and to see Summit really leading the way is pretty exciting. And we have some amazing new team members here over the last couple of years of the district leading this pathways conversation, and I'm just really excited to see how it unfolds. And then if you don't mind, still in draft form, but a hot off the presses conversation. We were talking about this and what it might look like, Snowy Peaks and pathways and the Tiger, Summit High School. We love our Tigers, we love our Yetis, and we want them to maintain their cultures.
Yeah.
But how can we provide a space where everyone has, you know, equitable access to these pathways and career and technical education spaces without just creating a monstrosity of a building? And as per one of the recent emails we even got from Dr. Bird, there's this movement, right, nationally of blurring the lines between secondary and post-secondary. And we were talking about this as a facilities committee this morning, and we started to imagine a college campus, a post-secondary campus, and why can't our little innovation center right here in Summit County create that campus experience for our students, so we can have freshmen and sophomores and juniors and seniors experiencing campus life, and then we could have Snowy Peaks, and we could have a Pathways Center, and we could have the high school, everyone maintaining their culture, but still all being the Summit School District. It's exciting. We'll see
is
where the conversation
really
goes, but it could
Very
be super
exciting
cool.
times, yep.
Yeah.
And I think that the value of, so we are having concurrent enrollment right now. Many of our students are taking advantage of that and seeing real savings to their college tuition and opportunities to really have those experiences and at a much lower dollar, and what that means to our students. So very cool, and being able to extend that farther and being able to provide more access
Absolutely.
like that to Snowy Peaks is just awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So very cool. The pathways, right? We have just landed on what our pathways are going to be, and bless you. And do you guys want to talk about that? We did a community-wide survey, so we've looked at like what we have strengthened here in our community. We also surveyed staff members, students, business partners to have them tell us the value of certain pathways. And then Bill Gilmore, our Director of Post-Secondary Readiness, he also took those pathways and applied it to a lens of being able to make a living wage, pathways that have a lot of opportunity and openings. And so we were able to land on 6 pathways that we're focusing on as a district. And either one of you want to talk about what those are?
Well, I can tell you right here. So as you know, in collaboration with many stakeholders, the pathways are healthcare, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship, computer science, advanced manufacturing, engineering, skilled trades, and natural resources and outdoor leadership. So I'm just going to put a plug in here too. I know our board meetings may not be super exciting for the general public, but there is a lot of great resources. You mentioned Bill Gilmore came and did presentations. If people are excited about seeing some of that, go ahead and reach out to us by email, or grab one of us when you see us, and we can point you the way, or go onto the website. But there's a lot of great presentations, PowerPoints, and all of that information about how these items were decided. So a lot of good stuff there, but really exciting work. And to hear from our community members, I think that's the most important. And I think one of the things that Summit School District really knows that's a huge value is getting that input. And so knowing that so many people from all different areas and industries and experiences with the school district put their minds together and came up with these options for our students. Yeah.
Very cool. That brings us to the last bucket, and that is strong and resilient communities. And so underneath that is housing, and also this thought about a student resource center. Yeah. So if you guys could talk about how we're kind of thinking about what staffing and housing and affordable housing can mean to retention, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on that one. Everyone is very familiar with the challenges we may have as recruiting and retaining staff members. The cost of living is skyrocketing throughout the state, throughout the nation, but especially in beautiful paradise locations like here in Summit County. And what we're finding is we have these amazing teachers that we invest in and train them, and they become a part of our culture, they become a part of our families and our communities. And then maybe they want to start their own family. And the cost of living is so unaffordable that we unfortunately wind up losing them to other locations. Whether we like it or not, we have to get in the game as one of the largest employers in town, and we need to be part of the solution to have affordable, dignified living for our team members. So again, this is another conversation we're seeing across the state.
Yeah.
Even the smallest of rural districts are talking about this because we all need, high quality teachers for our kids. So I'm very excited that conversation is happening. Again, it all ties back to student success. We're not eager to go be landlords and real estate developers. This is out of necessity. I'm thrilled. I hope the community really understands what we're doing there, and really creating, a step up in the quality of life, we hope, for a lot of incoming team members.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And then, so Consuelo, the other consideration is a student success center. And I think this is another one of those topics that we presented it out there, and it's just caused a lot of buzz. There's a lot of different information out there in the community about it. So I think talk to us a little bit about how you envision us leveraging partnerships through linkage opportunities to provide resources for students. And then I guess I would just clarify a little bit from the meeting where we've did some family surveys, and in particular our Hispanic families through this survey have said that a resource center would be of value to them, and how we think about supporting the whole child. But I guess I want to clear up too that on there was a whole laundry list of things that those respondents said would be of value, and some of those included things like a rec center or a swimming pool access, because we know it can be hard to get in there. And so just because it was on that list, that doesn't mean that the school district is considering running around and creating a new pool or investing in a new pool, but it does give us thoughts about how we might involve community partners, and what type of spaces we could either create or adapt to provide opportunities for growth.
Right, absolutely. So I think one of the exciting things about this is it was at a Colorado Association of School Boards conference probably 2 or 3 years ago that I had first heard about a community hub and that was done by school districts. And what was really exciting about it was that all of it was really aimed to support students. So in those ideas and in those plans, it was maybe providing adult education. It was working with partners throughout their communities. And, in Summit, we're very fortunate to have a number of nonprofits, a number of organizations that are out there, providing resources and meeting needs for members of our community. And so this idea of a student success center is it's not to take the place of anything that any of our nonprofits are doing right now. Like you said, it's leveraging those relationships and those partnerships because so many of them have shown that they want to support our communities. Just the level of support we get for scholarships, for tutoring needs, for wraparound care. Our community's invested in supporting our kids. So, and with that also said is that, some of the barriers that we have seen come up are transportation, our dollar values, how much things cost, our translation services, and making sure that all of those services are known about, and you said as accessible to all members of our community. And I would say especially those members that don't speak English as their primary language. And so I think in order, I think this is exciting because we know that in our school system and in our community, we also need to make sure that everybody feels welcome and that they can receive the support they need to navigate our systems. And so, if you're facing a language barrier or an access barrier to even registering your kids to go to school, this Student Success Center may provide some of that access. It may provide a place, we had a conversation last night about high impact tutoring. In this program that we talked about last night, it's in school, but is there an opportunity to provide that sort of safe space for kids to receive, tutoring services in one place where they're comfortable? Is there a place where our students and their families can receive mental health support in one place with trusted people that they know will be there and who care for them? So, I think that the exciting part of this would just be the opportunity to bring back our school districts as, I kind of nerd out on education history and things, from the past, really of having schools be that community hub. And so that's just really an exciting idea that, our school district, we take care of students, we take care of families, and we do the best that we can to support our communities. How can we continue to support and give back in that way? And how do we make our school districts something that everybody, absolutely everybody, feels pride in and feels connected to? And so, I think that's one of the really exciting things that this Student Success Center could do for our kids and for our families and for the community.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So to Chris's point earlier, all of these ideas are out there in the community. We're discussing them. We're bringing them to people to get their feedback. The process is that will happen through April and May at a board meeting in the middle of April. I think it's actually the 11th. We're going to bring some of this in front of the board again, start getting a little bit more structured and, okay, this is, where we think community is landing. Here's how we see the space needs lining up with the curriculum needs as we talk more about pathways. And then we'll keep continuing to do outreach through June. Kind of late June is when the board will look at this and say, okay, do we think that moving forward with the bond is what we want to do? What do we want to include in that bond language, and decide whether to put it on a ballot or not. So a lot of opportunity. Look for Superintendent Dr. Bird will be coming to SACS and PTSA meetings over the next month and a half to get even more feedback, and we have surveys associated with that. We welcome everyone to come to the meetings in April, the board meetings in April, and be part of the next investment in our future and in our communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I think that's all for today. Anything else that you guys want to say to our audience or before we wrap up here?
I would just say I'm very appreciative and grateful for all the support. I'm proud of what our students are doing and our staff. We really couldn't do it with this huge partnership and everybody swimming in the same direction. And, just everything, again, just is all around, the success of our students, the health of our students in our community. And then we have our next board meeting on April 4th. Again, that plug for our exciting board materials out there. And we also have in the agenda kind of a layout of what we can expect for the rest of the year. So, just some good stuff, and we'd love to have people come and be involved.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us here today. Thank you both for all that you do. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.